Hey everyone, welcome to Phone Arena's preview on the Huawei IDEOS X5, which is an Android 2.3 device. And we're kind of a little bit excited about this handset, granted that this is just a prototype, not a final production unit. But it's a high-end offering compared to mostly the basic entry-level ones that we've seen, such as the T-Mobile Comet. But this one here has some impressive specs, and we're looking forward to check out what it has to offer. Now, there's something that really blatantly sticks out in terms of design with the Huawei IDEOS X5. It's your typical slate form factor. We do like its choice of materials and solidly built all around. You have the chrome trim bezel around the handset that's accented well with the soft touch cover at the back. A lot of manufacturers use that, and it's great just because it keeps the handset looking clean and prevents any dirt or debris from getting on there. On top of that, it's quite manageable to hold in the hand versus some other larger screen devices out there like the EVO 4G, and it's built solidly all around, and it's a much better feel than the T-Mobile Comet. You can never go wrong if you offer a high-resolution display with an adequate size, and that's what you get with the IDEOS X5. It has a 3.8-inch display, WVGA resolution, so that's 480 by 800 pixels, and support for 16.7 million colors. So even the smallest of text, you're not going to have a problem reading it. On top of that, colors look pretty much on a neutral side. Might not have the rich saturated colors of Super AMOLED displays. You can notice that with the blacks. It might look a little bit more smoky, but it's more than sufficient for this type of device. And it's very responsive to touch. No problems moving around whatsoever. And we're pretty much happy with it, to tell you the truth, just because it offers that high resolution. Now, unfortunately, it does suffer from some poor viewing angles. As you could tell, at extreme angles, it does wash out and becomes almost invisible. So when you're using outdoors in bright light, you might want to shield it away from the sun. Beneath the display, you have your touch-sensitive buttons. You got the back, menu, home, search keys. You get used to the arrangement here, and luckily there's enough space between them and the bottom of the handset, so you're going to have reduced accidental presses. On the left edge, you have the volume rocker. It's pretty decently sized and offers a nice tactile response. On the bottom, you have only the micro USB port for charging or connecting to a computer. While on top, you have the 3.5mm headset jack and dedicated power button. It's a little bit hard to make out just because it's recessed. While in the back, you have the 5-megapixel autofocus camera, LED flash. You have the speakerphone right here in the top right. Removing the back cover, it's going to give you access to the battery, the SIM card slot, and the micro SD card slot. With our prototype unit, the Huawei IDEOS X5 is offering the Android 2.2 Froyo experience, and it's powered by a Qualcomm MSM7230 processor clocked in at 800 MHz. As you can tell, even with the live wallpaper activated, moving about the home screen is very swift and smooth, and we're happy so far with the level of responsiveness it has to offer. Top of that, with the app drawer, you have the 3D Light Cube effect, and with that, it's doing kinetic scrolling quite fine. Some people will probably be more than agreeable with the Android 2.2 Froyo stock experience, and it's fairly unlikely to find the final production offering a unique experience. That offers all the elements you expect, such as all the different widgets that you could choose from. There's also plenty of different wallpapers to choose from, whether it be the static ones or just the live wallpapers. There are some third-party applications loaded on our prototype unit here, such as the Bubble Bash 2, you have Iron Man 2 game, and even Prince of Persia. You have your usual set of Google applications, and other things like the Layer augmented reality application. Naturally, the Gmail experience is going to be nothing different just because it offers all the essentials that you require. It has threaded view, the ability to star or favorite specific emails, and setting up email is pretty much a simple process, generally your username and password, and that's pretty much it. With our prototype unit, it offers 3 different methods as far as inputting text. You have the swipe keyboard, Android, and the Huawei one. Now, with hopefully the final production unit will offer a swipe just because it offers a really nice responsive rate when you're moving about the keyboard. On top of that, you also have the stock experience, as we mentioned already. Very responsive, as you could tell, quick. Barely any delay. And finally, you have even the Huawei one here. Looks similar to the stock experience, but luckily when you tilt it to landscape, it's going to offer a little bit more room for your finger, so speed typing is not going to be a problem. There's nothing really new with the music player just because it's the stock one. It shows your album cover, track information, even on-screen controls. But luckily, this one here has an equalizer setting here. And when you set to default, the volume from the speaker is a little bit more muted. When you change it to different ones, you definitely have a sense of presence. It's a little bit stronger, and it's just nice to see that offers a little bit more than the traditional experience. It's nice to see when a handset offers a high-resolution display that's combined with a nice-sized screen, but with the IDEOS X5, high-definition playback is a little bit more on the choppy side. The one we have here is encoded in MPEG-4, 1280 by 720 resolution. Granted, though, there is a lot of detail, and colors look pretty good too, but there's a noticeable evidence of choppiness with it. Seeing that the Huawei IDEOS X5 is an Android 2.2 Froyo device, it's going to have support for Flash 10.1 to give you that desktop-like feel. It does load up Flash content on a page perfectly, but it does have a little bit of an effect to it, especially with pages with heavy Flash content. There seems to be a tendency to slow it down a little bit. But aside from that, you're treated to all the usual set of stuff. You have double tap to zoom into a specific area. You have also pinch to zoom gestures, support, zooming in, zoom out. As you can tell too, the kinetic scrolling is pretty manageable, and overall most people should be appeased by it. We're agreed to a stock camera interface with the Huawei IDEOS X5. There's some things you could change with it, such as the scene modes, the focus modes, even white balance. But aside from that, the 5-megapixel autofocus camera takes some really bad-looking shots, especially for this prototype unit that we have. Unfortunately, in outdoor conditions and bright light, it just lacks any fine details. On top of that, colors were more than off. Indoors, though, you have a tendency to see a lot of noise in the images, and it doesn't really fare that well at all. Granted, we were happy to know that the Huawei IDEOS X5 has 720p video recording. Unfortunately, it doesn't translate to a great overall quality. First of all, it shoots at a rate of 16 frames per second, so it looks extremely choppy. On top of that, it doesn't take that much detail. It seems like it's always kind of fuzzy looking and not as sharp as we would like it to, so you're not going to get the best looking videos out of this. With the prototype unit, calling quality so far seems pretty decent, except for the fact that the earpiece itself is kind of lacking in volume, but for the most part, conversations were clear and noise-free. As far as battery life, the unit that we have here is only supports Edge here in the US, so we can't say for sure how it's going to work with one of the carriers, if one of the carriers do end up getting the device. But from what we experience with Edge connections, battery life is pretty good. Ultimately, there's going to be a lot of expectations running on the back of the Huawei IDEOS X5, just because for the fact that their brand recognition is not as popular here in the US. We know that one of the carriers is going to offer it, but it's ultimately going to come down to pricing. For example, if this was priced below the $100 price point, it's easily going to lure and attract some customers out there with its mid to high-end specs. But if it's priced evenly around the $100 to $200 price point, it might have a difficult time gaining traction, especially when you have other high-end devices competing at that same level. For Huawei, the X5 is a fantastic device so far from what we're looking at here with the prototype, and we're looking forward to checking out the final one here. And the other thing is the fact that it's easily going to supplant their previous offering with the T-Mobile Comet, being that one was just a low-end device. So we'll look forward to checking out the final product. And if you want to learn more about the Huawei IDEOS X5, you can check out our in-depth preview at our website at phonearena.com.